That's funny. I was talking for like a minute and I didn't have my mic on. So sorry about that, guys. But I was just talking about my day. Really, I was just saying that I went for a jog this morning and nothing super important. So sorry about that. But we are live and it's great to be together. And we're going to be painting this awesome scene. This is actually from close to not where I live right now at all. We were visiting some friends, and this was a scene from their place, and they live near Denver, Colorado. And I woke up early in the morning. I went out and I was taking some pictures just to try to remember the occasion, and it's super fun. So I'm going to switch the view real quick, and I'm going to show you guys a little bit about my colors, and then we're going to kind of get into the painting. And of course, this painting is going to be given away. So I'm going to give you guys directions. You have to stick with me the whole time to figure out. I'm not going to tell you right now what you're going to have to do. It's not going to be complicated, but I'll give you directions in a little bit. But these are the colors we're going to use. We're going to use white. I've got cadmium yellow, light. This is cadmium orange. Probably not going to use that tons. This is quinacridone red. This is actually ultramarine blue. I actually ran out of ultramarine blue, so I threw in cobalt blue, but ultramarine is pretty dang close, and if I had ultramarine, that's what I'd use. And then I've got black and I've got gray here. And so that's what we're going to go with. I almost always use, this is a 12x16 canvas. It's toned black. I use flat paint brushes. These are all Princeton Catalyst brushes. They're great brushes, and they range from the biggest one right here is a number 16, and it goes down to a number 4. And I've got like a 12, 10, 6 all in between. So I don't think they make a size 8 if I'm remembering correctly. It just goes 16, 12, 10, and then number 6 and number 4. So those are the brushes I'll use. I probably won't say anything really about which ones I'm picking up, but if you guys are painting along, wonderful. If you're just going to watch along, awesome. And I'm waiting for Peter to get in here because he's going to give me the updates on anybody. But this is what I'd love for you to do, is if you can go on the comments and tell us where you're coming in from. Love seeing where people are where people are at and where they're coming from. Super fun. So I'm going to get started with this, and then when Peter gets in here, we'll be able to hear more from you guys and what you're up to and stuff like that. But I'll get started with the actual drawing of this in here. So you can see I'm just mixing up a little bit of a violet color. Not anything super important. People always ask me, why do you choose the colors you use? And sometimes it matters. Most of the time, it's just a little bit random. Sometimes I might use orange or red. But I'm basically going with something that's kind of dark right now. It'll stand out still on the black, but it won't be too crazy. So we've got this really cool brook that kind of comes right here. It runs kind of off to the edge of this and over, and then this little hill, and there's this little stand of trees right here, and I'm going to kind of make these a little bit of a cluster so that they're grouped a little bit more maybe than what they are in the photograph. There'll still be a couple that come off over on this side, but I'm going to kind of erase maybe this one. I might put it in, but I'm kind of grouping these others a little bit more. And then we've got a little bit of a background. There's some more darker trees back here. And then there's a little bit of lighter background trees up here. Okay, so Peter is back in the house.
I am. We had a little bit of technical difficulties.
Oh boy. So
you want me to say where people are from?
Yeah, tell me where people are from.
All right, sweet. We got Jill from Pennsylvania,
All right, Jill.
Somebody from California, Diana Greenman here in Montana.
Awesome.
Mark Stout from Lake Stevens. Actually,
okay, cool.
I know him.
Oh, okay,
that's
nice.
Cool. That's awesome. Allison Burris here from Mississippi. Tim Mullins, North Carolina. Franson Toro, hello from Essexville, Michigan.
Nice.
Nancy Wardle here from Niagara on the Lake, Ontario.
Man, we got our Canadian friends. Let's go. You know, I'm excited. What I want to do, what Peter and I dream of doing, this is what would be super fun, man. Like we dream of like doing like acrylic university on the road and just like thinking, where could we go and visit people and do live painting classes like from the road. Like, would it be so awesome if we had like that's a little bit big. These trees back there, I want to get that color in there. They're a little bit lighter, but would it be cool to have some sort of vehicle that we could like travel with and then like shoot out of and go to different parts of the country, different parts of the states, different parts of the world, and do like a live painting class like this Friday Night Live. I just think it'd be super fun. So hey, we live in a little bit of a dream world every once in a while, but we like to, and you never know. You don't dream, you don't have a vision, nothing will happen. But you know,
that's
every
how we
once in a
roll.
while, yeah, every once in a while crazy things happen.
Yep.
So okay, so we kind of have this now.
Todd says the Acrylic University branded van. Now that would
yes,
that would be awesome.
I know. I can't believe that I forgot to turn off the microphone at the beginning of this time. Such a bummer, man. Like seriously lame. How lame is that? I'm wondering, like, because what I'm thinking is like, if somebody ever tried to watch that video afterwards now, they'll turn it on and it'll be like me, my mouth is moving, but you can't hear anything. I wonder if there's a way that we'll be able to adjust that at all. Man, so funny. So we've got these beautiful long shadows here, and that's one of the things that really like I love about this painting and this scene is these beautiful, beautiful long shadows. And they kind of come all, you know, they're kind of like all over this painting, really. Like, I don't know, stuff up here is casting long shadows, and then these trees over here. And when you have that, you just have to remember like where the light is coming from, like what's going on with that for us. But really can create kind of a nice pattern in the painting also and draw our eyes towards the source of light. So I was excited. I can't remember. Let me think about who won the painting from last week from the live painting. I gave away 7 paintings last week, which was really cool. And now it's like hard for me to remember which one was I gotta just rack my brain here. Shoot, who was that? I can't remember right now. Anyways, super fun. I know that it was funny. I was getting a kick out of some of you guys last week who were like talking about the painting and saying that you were making room for it and all that stuff on your walls and then interacting with each other. That was super funny. That's what I love, is like how we can have such a good time even though we're not in the same place. Now I need Peter, he's getting back in here and he's going to give me some more updates from you guys, but it's fun to think about. Now, one of the people that I didn't ever study under him, but I really admire his work. His name's Kim English, and one of the things that he says is that you paint. What did he say? It was something like you paint your lights with your darks, and the idea being that you set up the whole painting, like you do all, like 95% of the work is in the darks and in the midtones. And then the last little bit, because he's really known for these super vibrant paintings, and the light is just gorgeous in them. And so everybody, wants to know how he paints the light. And his answer is, of course, like what I just said, is like you paint the light with the dark. And so like in a scene like this, you can see I'm spending a lot of time just getting the groundwork in. And I haven't even put in any of the light yet. I'll probably go back and forth a little bit as it goes. But right now I'm just trying to build up towards the light. And that's something that I think a lot of times we neglect to do. But I'm not here to talk about art. I'm here to just talk and gab.
Allison says, I've gotten where I really look forward to Friday nights, my favorite weekly activity.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's what we love to hear.
Yeah. Oh, I was going to say, actually, I forgot to do this earlier, but I was going to just grab a little bit of phthalo blue. I'm going to just put a little bit of phthalo blue down here. Because, I think I said this last week, I'm not totally sure, but I'm falling in love again with phthalo blue. And it's such a strong color. I know that it's a little crazy sometimes, but it's kind of fun. It's just such a vibrant blue.
Valerie says, with regards to us touring, she says, Alberta, Canada, I can tour you through the Rockies.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I love the Canadian Rockies.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
Tim Mullins, this is my first time watching.
Tim, hey, welcome. That's what where are you from, Tim? I was gonna say earlier that it'd be fun to kind of like give a shout out to all the new people who are here for the first time. Oh, whoops, I just dipped my finger in the blue. Didn't mean to do that. And every once in a while I look at my hands after I'm painting and I have so much paint. I mean, usually I don't have tons of paint on my hands, but it's mostly intentional. But every once in a while I do something like I just did and it's like, oh.
Alex F, me too. I haven't watched one of these before. This is so cool. And Jenna Page, first timer too. So
awesome.
That's awesome. Love to have you guys.
Yeah. Glad you're here. Super awesome. So we're basically painting this gorgeous scene. If you missed where I said at the beginning, it's a scene that I took the photo from like a couple years ago. We were in Denver, Colorado for a wedding, and we stayed with some dear friends of ours. And this was kind of like just the scene that was outside their house up near Golden. And just a beautiful day and a beautiful time up there. And it's always fun for me to have memories. How many of you guys would love to, commemorate more of your memories with art? Because isn't it fun to do that? Like when you have something, I know like even a couple weeks ago, Todd, when we painted your boat scene and, we painted different people's stuff recently. I know, like for me, it's super fun to be able to kind of relive times and experiences through art, because it's almost like I get to go there again, when I'm looking at it. Do any of you guys have that experience where you're painting something and it feels like you are able to enjoy that place?
Linda says, yeah, I lived most of my life in Colorado. Todd says, yes, I look at your painting and I'm back in Italy.
That's so cool, yeah. Yeah, I just find that art is such an interesting thing where we can gain so much from it. It's like a gift.
Lucinda says, I noticed last week that you blend with your fingers. That made me so happy to see that last week. I feel like I'm a very messy amateur painter.
Oh, well, Lucinda, that's one of the things when my hands are done, I usually, my fingers are all covered. It's like not just one finger, but 2, 3, like all my fingers, because I'll blend with one and then I'll blend with the next one until all of them are covered, because I don't want to get the cover or the colors like all over each other. Sometimes it'll come off a little bit. So I'm right with you. It's kind of funny. Now I want to be aware of the time. Like some of you guys, if you're just coming in, you don't know maybe that I'm going to give this painting away. So one of you, if you stick around, is going to end up at the end of the night with this painting, and I'm going to give you directions towards the end of the night on how you can win it. But I'm not going to tell you now because I don't want you to cheat or anything like that. And I know that I would, if it was me. Hey, I might just be, judging you based on like what I would do. But I'm known. I'm not a man. I'm not like a weird guy, because I have these I'm like constantly like thinking of ways to. It's like, oh man, like that'd be easy to cheat that thing. Oh, that'd be easy to cheat that. So like maybe it's because of my own bad habits of thinking. I'm like thinking, maybe I won't tell them exactly what to do yet. Make them wait for a while. But hopefully we'll have it work and it'll all be really cool, and one of you guys will walk away with this painting at the end of the night. And then at the end of the night, after we do the painting giveaway, you know what I'm going to go do? I'll give you too bad this wasn't like part of the way that you win. I can't claim that this has anything to do with how you're going to win, but I do want to see, is there anybody who can guess what I'm going to do tonight after this? I'm also going to do it tomorrow. Not that that's really a hint, but what do you think I'm going to do tonight after this? It's going to be about 7:30 our time, okay? And then I'm going to go do something. And if you can guess what it is, I'm going to give you a virtual big high five.
Elaine Zink says hi from Alabama.
Woo, Elaine, nice. Glad that you're here.
Yeah. Elaine asks, what style of painting is this called? Negative shape painting?
You know what? I don't know if there's a name for it, but yeah, there's a lot of negative shape painting in here because I'm kind of putting on different things and then painting around it. But this is just the kind of the way that I paint, and I especially paint this way more when I'm painting on a dark surface like this, because it kind of, it's easier for me to see it this way, and it's easy to kind of do it. But as far as a style, I don't know if there's a style or a name for it. Now, does anybody have a guess at what I'm going to do?
Johanna said, turn up Ted, question mark?
Oh, nice. Oh man, I've been having people ask about Turn Up Ted recently. Like, it's so great. I'm like thinking, I got to find where Turn Up Ted is. I might have to reach out to him and see if he can come out, because I'm having people ask about him. I'm not even joking.
We got some more guesses. Go for a jog. Bike to catch the sunset.
Those are good guesses. That would be like kind of close to what I'm gonna do, but no, I'll just come out and tell you guys what I'm gonna do. I'm really excited about it because tonight it may not work like I'm that well. I mean, I'll just kind of do it, see what I can do, but I'm gonna go play some basketball. I got a new basketball the other day, and I'm not gonna go, there's not even gonna be anybody there probably. I'm just gonna go to this little park, but I've been inside most of the day today, and I've been just dying to get outside. So anyways, there's this really cool park. It's gonna be right before sunset, and this park overlooks the little town that's close to us, and it's going to be super, super beautiful. I'm looking forward to it. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go throw that little round basketball around. What are you guys up to this weekend? So you can see I'm just starting to get some of these light colors put in, but they're still not going to be as light as the later stuff that we put in. Do you guys have plans this weekend though? Anybody going, spending some time with your moms or?
Allison says painting dog portraits. Nancy says painting flowers.
Nice.
And then Alex says studying for finals. Sad face.
Oh. What are you studying? So finals, man. Yeah, I just saw my nephew the other day, and he just finished his finals up for the year. I think he was pretty excited about it too.
Janice, the weather is beautiful, so riding my motorcycle.
You got a motorcycle?
Yeah.
Sheesh, what kind of motorcycle?
Lucinda, heading to Cades Cove in the Smoky Mountains. Michael, we are transplanting sunflowers in the 5-gallon buckets that our boys have painted. Sounds cool.
Oh, wow. Transplanting sunflowers, is that what you said?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Janice, 2019 Harley, a big beast.
Whoa, seriously.
That's awesome.
My friend just bought a new Harley, man. I just saw him like probably 2 days ago. I didn't see him personally, but he was on Instagram like with his new Harley, and I was like thinking, looked like a pretty cool bike. Man, I don't have a motorbike. Not that anybody out there cares, but if you were thinking that you were wanting to get me a little present or something, I would take a motorbike. I would take it, and then Renee would take it away from me, because I'd probably like get hurt on it. I mean, let's face it, there are some people in life that you just don't want to have a motorbike, and I qualify for that. Like, I don't want to have a motorbike. I'm afraid of motorbikes, to be honest. I think it's because when I was a kid, I grew up, I had a couple little dirt bikes. And I mean, they were fun, they were good. But when I was probably, I don't know when this was, but a few years ago, I went, my brother-in-law he's always had motorbikes, and he had a big, like, I don't know, big Honda VFR it's kind of like a cross between a crotch rock and like a total sit back bike. So it's kind of like, it's pretty fast. I mean, it's seriously got some power, but it's really big too. It's pretty heavy. And anyways, I was like, he said, do you want to take it for a ride? And so I was like, yeah, okay. Like, cause I'd been like huddled on it, hanging on to him as he's like speeding around these country roads. And this is up by where my wife is from, and in Canada actually. And anyways, I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to go for this. And I go out on it, and I end up realizing that I'm like basically unable to turn the stinking thing. Like, I'm going around this corner, and I'm trying to turn it like I would my old bike, my old little bike. And it just didn't work that way at all. And it like totally scared me, because I'm going around this corner and I'm like going into oncoming traffic. Thankfully, it was a tiny little country road and nobody was around. But it made me realize, like, this is a totally different animal than what I'm used to. So that kind of gave me a little bit of dose of fear. Now I'm kind of hesitant to ever own a bike or use one.
Alex says, my majors are neuroscience and nutrition, but this term I got classes in nutrition, chemistry, biology, a class on world hunger, and the philosophy of life and death.
Whoa. Nice. Can you read that again? That was interesting.
Yeah. My majors are neuroscience and nutrition, but this term I got classes in nutrition, chemistry, biology, a class on world hunger, and the philosophy of life and death.
Wow. That's a wide range of stuff there.
I know. So he sounds like a hard worker.
Yeah, that's cool. So back here, just as a little talk about the painting kind of thing, I'm going to put some lighter colors. I really want that area back there to kind of fade into the distance a little bit more. And so I'm kind of going to cover up some of the black back there. It's not going to be as pronounced in any way. And then hopefully it'll help it kind of blend into the background more. Yeah, like I was talking about this last week, but one of the reasons I was, thinking about painting on black and why do I like it so much. And I definitely think that it's like kind of an interesting thing because it forces you to do things maybe a little bit different than you would. And so I think there's some of that. And then I talked last week about how I feel like I relate with it because there's in terms of my own life and being like addicted and struggling with stuff that I couldn't control and feeling like my life was hopeless and out of my, there was just nothing I could do to make it right, and how I felt like God actually brought light into my life and it gave me hope. And so like recently, like I'll go in these spurts where I paint a lot on black and then I don't for a while, and it kind of comes and goes a little bit with me. But like when I paint on black, sometimes I think, why do I ever paint on other things? Because I really do like it. It's really fun. And I also like the fact that because it's a little different, like one of the people that painted on black quite a bit was actually, I think, I haven't watched all, his stuff, but it was Bob Ross. Like, cause you can buy gesso that is Bob Ross gesso and it's black. And that made me realize like, oh, like he must have, like I think I've seen him paint on black a little bit myself, but if they're making gesso that's black and it has his name on it, it's probably because he did it quite a bit. And so it's kind of funny to guess following his footsteps. And it's perfect to be painting live, man. Like I can imagine if Bob Ross lived today, he would have a live painting show. There would be no doubt about it. Yeah. The dude would be painting live because the guy would film. I don't know if you know much about him, but there's a really interesting documentary. I think there's more than one, but I just watched this really short one time on him, and it was so interesting because I learned that he would paint and record one whole season, which was I think 13 episodes or something like that. It wasn't like 100, but it was still 13 episodes, and he would do it in like he would do it in 2 days, 2 or 3 days, I think. He would go into the studio and they would just boom, bang, 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 like painting after painting. So, and then he'd go off and he'd do his thing for the rest of the year, and then, or whenever, I don't know how often they would have to record that, if it was every year, if it was more than once a year, but he would just go do his thing, and he'd go out and he'd be teaching people how to paint in the real world. And then when it was time for him to go back in, he'd go in and he'd record another big chunk of episodes, and then he'd leave again. He did that year after year. So I can just guarantee that if he was living today, like the guy would have a live painting TV show, and he would just, like, this would be his thing. I just know it. Because if you can sit and record like that, there's nothing that's going to stop you.
Alex F asks, is Bob Ross a big inspiration for you?
You know, Alex, I wouldn't say that Bob Ross is a huge inspiration for me. I do like him. I admire him for, you know, what he did. We don't, in terms of painting styles and stuff like that, like I don't really paint anything like him. So it's not that kind of inspiration, but I do appreciate like what I see of his care. Like he was a really thoughtful guy and cared about people, and basically took what he had been given as a gift and looked at it like, and just said, you know what, I'm going to use this to make the world a brighter place, and try to encourage other people with it. And so for those kinds of things, absolutely, I look up to him as a role model and somebody that I really think did a lot of good. And I think it's amazing. I mean, honestly, it totally blows me away, because I talk to people who have nothing to do with art. They're not artists. They're not interested in art, and they love watching him and they love listening to him. They'll listen to him at night when they're going to bed, and they'll just put on his stuff and they'll fall asleep listening to him because it's so peaceful, and his demeanor is peaceful to them. And so, like, when you think about that, it's like, sheesh, that's pretty cool. Like, how many people can say that people listen to them while they're going to bed, and it's like soothing to them. Yeah. So I think that's pretty awesome.
Lucia says, my favorite part of Jed's live painting is when he puts in the sky. Kaboom.
Yeah, that's
so true.
That's kind of my favorite thing too, is you know, you work your way to the back often in this kind of painting, and then it kind of comes alive. Yeah, so I mean, you kind of see like there's mixture of colors in here, trying to get the feeling of dappled sunlight, and we've got this little stream over here too that kind of meanders back here. And I wasn't super happy with the way that I made the pattern of it right at the beginning. I think I am gonna work to kind of try to create it in a less linear way. It's okay right now, but I think that I can do a little bit up here to kind of make it feel like it steps back a little bit. Variation is always good in painting.
Dorina says, when my son was little, his nap time coincided with the Bob Ross TV show.
Oh, it's perfect.
Deb says, what guides you in the direction of your brush strokes? I noticed your grass strokes are different than the direction of grass growth or the angle of the ground.
Yeah, you know, what I've been doing on these brush strokes in here is I've been going with the kind of like the general angle of the shadows. So it's more, it doesn't mean that they all need to be that way or should be, but sometimes it will help with kind of like the feeling of this painting eventually, hopefully, is going to have a sense of kind of direction, and it's going to be going, you know, there's going to be a bit of movement back. And that's a little bit of why I'm doing the brush strokes back like that. And I would say subconsciously I was doing it. I wasn't really thinking about it so much, but just knowing kind of the angle, the direction of that is probably the underlying reason for it. And this is kind of dark back here, but and my photo reference is not as good as if you're looking at a computer screen or some kind of screen, you're actually able to see more light than I can, because when I printed mine off, it was a pretty dark copy. So I'm kind of just trying to remember how light and dark some of these places were, and I'm trying to make up for what I know the photo did wrong, because it's a little bit darker than it should be. And right now we've definitely got our darks, because we've got black in here still, and some of these other places are still on the dark. And then I've got mostly midtones, and I don't really have a lot of light yet, because you can see, I mean, even up here it's starting to get light, but there's still a difference between like this and as light as I will have it. So there's still a lot of room to bring the light values in. And we'll start, I'm gonna just put in a little bit right up here. This is going to be a pretty bright highlight in there. And we'll just kind of let that be there right now, just to show like we've got, you know, quite a bit of room to go with that. And then I'm gonna come back down into these areas, and I'm gonna bring some more of the shadows and these kind of areas that are gonna have a nuanced darkness to them. And I need to bring a little bit more light up there, I can see. And a couple, sometimes, you know, I kind of live with the principle that less is more. You know, I've been painting for a show that we're actually opening tomorrow. If you guys are able to check out our website, check out my website tomorrow. I'm gonna have I think seven paintings that are pretty fresh off my easel on there tomorrow. And it's been fun. I've been painting, some of them are actually quite different. Like they'll come across a little bit more, I don't know how to describe them, maybe a little bit more refined, a little bit more detailed, not tons, but different than this, like a little bit different than this. Like this is gonna have a looser feel than what some of those have. There's a couple that are similar to this, but then there's a couple that are a little bit different. But I generally go with the principle like that less is more. I've seen artwork that kind of has blown me away, that has very limited brush strokes, very limited kind of detail in it. And one artist that I heard him say to somebody else that painting is a contest. It's something like, he who can paint this scene in the least amount of brush strokes wins. And so the idea being, you're trying to, you know, accomplish rendering a scene, or rendering, you know, depicting a scene with the least amount of brush strokes, which mean that your brush strokes are going to be, each one of them is going to matter. Each one of them is going to count and be intentional. And I think that I don't always follow that all the way through. Like I was saying, like some of these paintings that I've worked on recently have a little bit more, they're worked on a little bit more. But that's my general guiding principle. One of them is less is more. And the other day I was working on a painting. It was actually for Acrylic University. It was for a lesson that I was doing. And at the end, I knew that I needed to make a big change to the painting. And I looked at it and I was like, oh man, I kind of screwed that part up and I need to do something. What am I going to do? And I because it was kind of a significant change, I knew that if I dabbled around with it, it would lose the whole painting would lose its feel, and it would lose kind of like the spontaneity of it. And so I knew that I really needed to give it a kind of like just a really strong final few brush strokes. And so that was what I did. I ended up like taking my biggest brush out. I got out this brush, and I just was like, okay, I'm gonna use this brush, because if I force myself to use my biggest brush, there's no way that I'm gonna turn this into a nitpicky kind of painting. And it turned out that it worked perfectly the way that I was really hoping, because it ended up still maintaining like the real loose feel. And I was really happy that I'd done that. But if I'd gone in with a small brush, I know that it wouldn't have worked that way. And I'm just getting rid of there. It looks like there's something over here, like a little step or something like that. But I'm just gonna get rid of that whole thing.
Todd says it's like making a good drawing. Make every line count.
Yeah. Yeah. Drawing is so essential to painting too. That was emphasized yesterday for those of you who were in our community session, the Q&A with Rick. I don't know if you realize like how many times he talked about drawing a bunch, didn't he? He just kept saying, yeah, drawing is crucial to what we're trying to do.
Carol Pierce says, tell us more about the show you're painting for.
Oh yeah, well the show is actually just because normally every year we have what's called the Camano Island Studio Tour. It's always on Mother's Day, so I sometimes refer to it as the Mother's Day Tour. But it's an open studio where probably about 30 or more artists from Camano Island here open up their studios, and people drive here from all over, and it's kind of this really cool tour. And of course it's not happening that way this year because of the COVID virus, and so some of us who are able are turning ours into an online show, and not everybody, because there's not as many artists who have working websites and whatever, or maybe the interest to do it. But that's what it's for. It was basically a replacement for that. And so I'm doing, normally the show goes over 2 weekends. It goes over Mother's Day weekend itself and then the following weekend. And what I've done is I've taken 7 paintings for this weekend, and then I'm not totally sure on the amount yet for next weekend, but I'm going to have 2 sets of paintings that I'm going to put onto my website. And at exactly 10 o'clock tomorrow, we will open up the website, and they'll be there. So that's what it is. I've actually really enjoyed. I painted a couple paintings that were kind of in this, I don't know what the style would be, but I painted them on black, and they were really loose and spontaneous and pretty fun to paint. And they really got me excited about painting with phthalo blue again. And because I've been working so much with Acrylic University, I've tried to limit my palette a little bit, because for teaching it's so much easier to only have this many colors that I'm picking from, and not this many. Like if I'm picking from this box and people are trying to watch and they're like, what? I can't tell what you got. Like, where if I'm picking from this, it's like, well, you can see I went to the only yellow that I have. There's not more than one yellow. And so I like it for that reason. And it's really been fun for me to mess with the limited palette, because I didn't grow, like, I was gonna say grow up. in art though, I didn't really grow up using a limited palette. I just had like many colors as I wanted and just went with that. But it's actually really cool to realize that you can paint so many things with a limited palette. So I've been really enjoying that. But the one blue that I didn't add to my palette was phthalo blue, because it's such a strong, powerful color, and it's actually a little bit hard to use all the time if it's your only blue, because it mixes such intense colors. So I hadn't been using it very much. And then just recently, because of those other paintings, I was like, oh man, phthalo blue, look at that. How fun is that to use again? And so I've been having fun painting with phthalo blue.
Someone asks, I meant to ask last week, what yellow are you using?
This is cadmium yellow light. It's kind of the best yellow that I found for being able to go in either a green direction, or if it needs to go in an orange direction, it can go in that direction too. Like cadmium yellow deep or medium, they tend to lean a little bit more towards orange, especially the deep, and it's great for that, but it's not so great for making greens. So that's why I use the light more. Okay, so I'm gonna go back into this area back here again. Carol, it's good to have you with us. I wonder if Carol Choate is here also. That there might be more than one Carol with us tonight. But super great. It's fun when your life kind of combines, you know, because I met Carol Pierce. She's an artist out of a gallery that I work out of or show out of and teach out of and stuff here close by in Edmonds. And so, you know, it's kind of fun that you have these different connections that come back. Like Carol, the other Carol that I mentioned, Carol Choate, is a friend and collector from California who has a house close by and has also become part of Acrylic University. So it's kind of like worlds overlap, and you start to get to see people that you know from, you know, like I didn't know that, you know, she would be part of Acrylic University when I first met her. But super fun, you know, that you have like these connections.
Mac fixes, what brand of yellow? Cheaper yellow paints don't work well. What brand of yellow do you use? Things?
Yes, cheaper yellow paints really don't work well.
Yeah.
I have in front of me, this is not the exact color, but this is the brand. This is yellow lemon, but it's Utrecht. And I'll hold it up, you can kind of see. But Utrecht is a good heavy body paint. I like it a lot. I use it probably, I don't know. I use it quite a bit. It's probably, most of these colors are Utrecht colors. The only times I need other paints are when I, like for sure need it, is like they don't make a fluid acrylic. Like this is Golden's quinacridone gold, and that's a super awesome color. And it's a fluid acrylic. And this is quinacridone red and a fluid acrylic. And I can't get those in Utrecht. So I definitely get those in other brands. Golden is the best that I've found for fluid colors. I actually don't know if there's another brand that makes fluid colors in the same way. Maybe there is. But you're right. Yellow is a very bad color to have cheap paints in because it doesn't cover very well. You really need a good solid yellow.
Doug asks, on average, how long do you work on a painting that you plan to sell?
I wish I could answer that because it really just at a place where it needs to get to a certain place where I'm happy with it. And sometimes that's quicker than others. Like I have paintings that still I'm not happy with, and I haven't put them for sale for that reason. And then other times that, you know, like a painting comes together and it works kind of the way that I intended from the beginning, and it might be a fairly fast, straightforward process, but that's what makes it kind of tricky to answer that question, is that it doesn't always work as straightforward and as nice as you kind of are hoping. Sometimes it's like, oh, well, maybe I won't put this one in this show. I thought I would have this one, but yeah, let's not put that one in the show. It needs a little bit more time.
Elaine says, is it better to use heavy-bodied paint when painting on black background?
Yeah, I think so. I would say yes, because you want it to cover well, and that's one of the things about heavy-bodied paints, is that it's gonna cover a lot better than a thin paint. At least the way that I'm painting right now. I mean, if you had longer and you wanted to do many layers, I suppose that you could totally do it with thinner paints, and thin paints, I don't use them enough to really say that they can't cover pretty well. Just my experience is that the thicker paints I know cover pretty well. So that's why I go with them. And I'm trying to add a little bit more, just a little bit more bluish tones back into this area, because these trees, if I can add a little bit of that blue, it's going to push them a little bit further into the background. And these colors up here are going to be a little bit more vibrant and saturated, and yellow and red. Like yellow and red go away in distance, but blue remains. So that's one way to convey the sense of distance and perspective when you are painting, is that the colors that are closer to you are more saturated, and the colors that are the areas that are farther away are a little bit less saturated, and especially when it comes to the yellows and the reds.
Allison asks how long you work on a painting after Friday Night Live is over.
Well, it depends also on that. There have been a couple that I've, spent a decent amount of time on, but like I try not to work too much on it, because I kind of like it to be fresh and spontaneous like it is. If I'm giving it away, I kind of want it to be pretty close to done when I give it away. I basically want it to be done so that, the person knows what they're getting. If I take it in, there's a chance that I'll, not everything turns out the way that you want. So if I'm pretty happy with it at the end of this time, then I usually will just try to say, okay, let's just let it be. But like Todd's painting, there was something, I think I mentioned this the other week, that there was something on the boat that I just was kept looking at it, and I was like, man, I don't think that I got the angle of this boat quite right, and certain things that they just didn't it wasn't working together for me. And so I ended up going into that a little bit to try to figure out what was going on. And so there's a chance that there's a something like that comes out that I'm like, oh, I really need to work on this. But in a painting like this, that would have more to do with the drawing. than anything else. So like with this one, the drawing isn't quite as important because it's trees and not an object that we would care, you know.
Someone asks, have you ever painted with a palette knife? Can you even do that with acrylic paint?
Yeah, you sure can. And you can paint with a palette knife. I don't tend to paint a whole painting with a palette knife, but you can use it, and it can be quite cool to work with. It will provide texture, and it's easier to get thick texture with a palette knife than it is with a brush. So that's one reason you would use it. It also kind of will apply paint, you know, so differently. Like it can just, it's like I said before, it's really good to have variety in a painting, and you can do that in so many different ways. You can use your paintbrush in a different way. You don't always have to switch to a different object like a palette knife, but every once in a while switching it up and going with something like that can be quite cool and really will provide something unique and different in there.
Eileen says, is that a specific container for your acrylics, or is it a pill box?
This is a bead box. It's similar to a pill box, but I got this one at Hobby Lobby or Michael's or somewhere like that, and it's great. Honestly, these are the two things: this Masterson palette, that kind of bead box, or this kind of bead box. Those things combined change the way that I can paint with acrylics, and I really highly recommend it for people who are, you know, really interested in pursuing acrylic painting as like what they want to go with, because it will open up doors for you that you just can't do the same things unless you're using open acrylics or something like that, which, because of the way they're made, already allow you to mix longer and all that kind of stuff. There's not really any alternatives. Anything else? Mr. Peter? I think Peter's texting his girlfriend. Uh-oh.
No, I'm not actually.
Just joking.
I wish.
Just giving you a hard time.
I know, I'm kidding.
Oh, man. So this is where I'm kind of bringing in a little bit more saturated yellows in here, because these leaves that are on these branches and these trees that are closer to us are going to be a little bit, have more of that warm yellow, and I mixed a little bit of orange in there. I don't know if I really want them to be too orange looking, because this is more of a springy kind of scene than a fall scene, so I might kind of get rid of that. But the idea of having more saturated colors up here is going to help us, you know, with that sense that these trees are closer than the background trees. And then we can do some nice highlights on the edges of the branches and these leaves to get that sense of light shining through the translucent leaves. So let's see.
Jody says, do you ever have trouble with your palette paper buckling, Jed? Sometimes mine does, and it dries out where it's not touching the sponge.
Yeah, Jody, good question. The palette paper really needs to be totally saturated, and you need to soak it. So you can't just put it down on top of a wet sponge. You need to soak that palette paper for like 5 minutes or something like that. The directions that are in there are pretty good, but sometimes people don't notice what it says, and so I've seen a lot of people who don't actually really use it the way that it's supposed to be used, and it ends up kind of hurting them, because if you don't have it saturated, and if it dries out, it basically loses its ability to keep your paints moist. So you need to keep it nice and saturated, and you need to sorry, got distracted with my painting. Yeah, I mean, you need to keep it saturated, and then you need to just make sure there's no air bubbles. The air bubbles will kill you too, because you could have saturated palette paper, but if you have an air bubble under there, it's gonna do the exact same thing.
So they started joking around, and they call it when you put the sky in, they call it the jetting.
Well, that's funny. Yeah, there's a my friend Justin. Some of you know Justin Vining, maybe. That's what he did. He named, when I would paint behind a tree, like he called it me jetting a tree. Same kind of idea though. It's like the negative shape painting. Usually that's what he was referring to, which I assume you guys are kind of referring to too. Who's painting with me tonight? I think it's kind of fun because I don't always know who's painting, but then sometimes people will either send me their paintings, or they'll post it and they'll tag me in it or something like that. And it's always kind of fun to see, oh wow, like that's what I painted the other night.
Yeah. Lucia asks, how's Willow's kitty?
Oh yeah, the cat, the little cat, man. I tell you, that cat, I don't know if you saw, but we took it out for a walk the other weekend, and it was super funny. Like it was kind of scared at first, like, you know, it really hadn't been outside that much. And then we took it out and went for this walk, and it was kind of cool. And he's doing great. Short answer is he's doing awesome. Long answer is he's like now kind of bent on going outside. And so like even today I cracked the door open. I was going out to take a photograph of a painting, and he like jumped out and ran out, and you know, thankfully he's still a little bit afraid when he's out there, so it was easy to catch him. But yeah, kind of like thinking, did we unleash this something in him that really loves being outside? I'll have to get him at the end of the painting here.
Yeah.
And bring him in.
Joanne says I am painting.
Oh, cool.
Colleen says so relaxing just to watch you rather than for me to try and keep up.
Yeah, I know. I'm with you. If I was in somebody's shoes, I would probably just watch the first time through and then go back and get into the painting. But I know some of you are like super courageous and like just jump right into it. So yeah, I think that's awesome.
Carol Pierce, the sky, kaboom. And we got 189 people watching right now.
That's awesome. How exciting.
191.
I don't, you know, it's funny because when I'm painting here, I don't always know what's going on at all. Like, I'm like, you know, I don't know if anybody's out there, except for the fact that Peter mentions, you know, but I wouldn't know anything. So it's awesome. I'm so thankful that we have the dude, Peter, with us to make things happen. If you guys go on later and you, I guess everybody here will know that the audio is working, but I'm worried about people who come on to the thing later and they try to watch, because I didn't have my mic on at first, and I was talking. I'm like, probably for like 2 minutes or something, like, because I was trying to like kill a little bit of time so that Peter could get in here and people could get on. And so I was just blabbing. And then Peter comes in, he's like, your mic, I can't hear anything from you.
Yeah, I know, because we were looking at the stream, the music was coming through super loud, but we couldn't hear you at all.
Oh, that's too funny, man. Well, at least there was music, so they knew that something would come through eventually, hopefully. So I see a little bit of like this, where the light's hitting over here, and I'm gonna try to bring a little bit of highlight down here, just to show why that is gonna be lit up like it is. So we're getting like probably within the next 7 or 8 minutes, I'm going to be trying to wrap up. And then I'm going to give you the directions on what you need to do. If you want to win this painting, I'm going to give you directions. And it's based on not a lot of skill at all, but you do have to do something. And it's not nothing to do with the painting. It has more to do with just kind of like being in the right place at the right time. But I'll give you those directions in just a few minutes here when I'm getting a little bit closer to being done, and then we'll see who ends up with this. We're always trying to think of creative ways of having fun and giving away paintings is something that I know I can do. If hey, we're just hoping that somebody wants it, really. Like, it'd be kind of funny if we say, all right, guys, here's how you win it, and then like nobody goes for it. Oh, that'd be so. That's when you know you need to stop doing a live painting thing. You just need to go like, okay, you know what? I guess I'm not gonna do that for a living. Coming in here, and there's some bright kind of areas in here, little background. What's going on, Mr. Peter? Anything?
Nothing much.
Okay.
People are talking though, which is good.
Okay, gotcha. So here's how we're gonna give this painting away, guys. I'm gonna tell you guys right now, I'm gonna get you set up, and then I'm gonna tell you what you need to do in stages, okay? So this is what it's gonna be. You're gonna text me, and I think Peter can put my phone number into the chat. So Peter, can you put the phone number into the chat?
Yeah.
I'll tell you what it is, but if you wanna get your phones ready, you're gonna text me at 425-800-8010. That's the number that you're gonna text. And so get your phone ready, get that into your phone so that you're ready when I tell you the next part. Because the next part is what's gonna matter. Because you can't just text me. I'm gonna tell you exactly what you have to text me. Okay, so I'm
Joanne, yeah.
Go ahead.
Joanne says 8010 instead of 18, and yeah, that's correct. I put it in the chat. It's 425-800-8010.
Did I say something wrong?
You might have, I don't know.
I probably did.
I don't remember.
Wouldn't be the first time that I said something wrong. My father-in-law, he likes to say funny things like, he'll say like, I was wrong before. That was when I thought I made a mistake. He also tells me, he's so funny because the guy is like, great guy, loves his wife, loves his daughters. He's got 3 daughters. But he also, I'd be working with him and he'd say, like on a project, like we're working on his deck or something. And he'll say like, good enough for the girls I go with. Yeah, it's just like he's got all these one-line little sayings that are so funny, and they're especially funny when you know him because it's like it doesn't make sense really, but they're just hilarious little sayings. Okay, so here's how you're gonna win this painting. You are going to text me at that number. If everybody's got their phones ready, are you ready? I don't want to give you the directions if you're not ready. Are you ready? Are you ready for me to tell you what you're gonna do? Because I want you to have the best chance possible of winning this. And I need you to be totally ready here. So you've got to get your phone ready. You type in my phone number, 425-800-8010, and have it ready. And then what you're gonna do is you're gonna text me with your, are you ready?
Yep.
You're ready? Okay, yep. I need your, these three things. I need your first and last name and your address. Your first and last name and your address. And if you were the 10th, the number 10, if you were number 10 to text in your phone number, your name, your full name, your first and last name, and your address, which is what we will need to send you this painting. By the way, you have to live in Canada or the United States to be able to win this, so I apologize for all of you who might be living somewhere else. But if you're from the country of Canada or the United States, text it right now. And if you're number 10, you'll win this. You'll win this. I will be able to tell you right away because
it's already over.
It's
Jenna Robertson.
Whoa! You already counted to number 10?
Yeah, it was there like that.
Whoa! Okay. Okay, so congratulations, Jenna Robertson. You won. And everybody else, thank you so much for sending in your attempts, I guess. I don't know what else to call it, but thanks for playing. I'm sorry that you didn't win, but you know what? I give you all my full-on award of congratulations. That's a pretty lame award, but no, seriously, I hope that this has been super fun for you, even if you didn't win.
She's in the she's in the chat. I think so.
Okay, awesome. Well, congratulations.
Yeah, everybody's congratulating you.
Super awesome. And we're not going to do that next time. I'm going to change it. So if you think that that's exactly what you have to do next time and you just like load it up and you like turn out and you're like, well, you know what? I'm going to be ready to go and I'm going to type in my address and my phone number and I'm going to send him 10 texts at the very beginning of the night. And then I'll have at least numbers 1 to 10 covered. I'm just telling you right now, I'm not going to do it that way next time. So you'll have to play the game. Oh man. But okay, I'm like looking at this and I'm gonna give it my last few brush strokes here. And then Janet, wait, what's the name again?
Jenna Robertson.
Jenna, sorry. Jenna, this painting is gonna be yours and we're gonna send it off to you.
Yep.
Real soon.
Elaine says, are you going to keep doing these after COVID is over?
Yes, we are. Who said that?
Elaine Zink.
Elaine, we wouldn't have started doing this without the COVID virus, but yes, we are going to keep doing it. We found that it's really fun.
We love it.
Yeah, we love it, and we love your support in it too, because like we believe that what we're doing matters. We really do. Like I mean, personally, I've experienced a lot of good things through art. I believe that art is a gift. I believe that it's meant to be shared. I believe that everybody's creative. And I know that, I mean, there's a reason that people love doing art, and there's a reason that it, you know, like people use it for healing, you know, like art therapy and different things like that. Like, it's good for us to do creative things. And so we are really passionate about what we do, and we appreciate your support in it, you know, because like if you tell other people about this, it helps us, because we are, you know, wanting to get more people involved. We love when new people, and we're so thankful that a bunch of you were new tonight, and super fun. So pass on the gift to other people if you can, and yeah, we're gonna keep doing this. I'm bringing in the last couple highlights in here for this little stream, and then I'm gonna be wrapping her up.
Raquel Ross says, will you keep giving away Friday night paintings?
Yeah, that's also the plan.
Yes.
It's kind of like our way to bribe people, you know? Like, hey, I'm like the worst at bribing people. I'm just like, you know what? Let's just do it. And you know, for me, it's a fun thing, but it's a way to give beauty. Like I can't like really cheapen my paintings. Like I can't say, oh, you know, like it's not worth this much, and I'm just gonna sell it to you for like a lot less than what it's worth, because that's not fair to me. It's not fair to my galleries and, you know, that kind of thing. But I can give paintings away. I can actually just give them, and that's something that I feel like is it because I think it's a gift that God gave me to be able to paint and to be able to do this, and so like I like to be able to share that. And so yeah, we're gonna keep doing that. So for better or worse, we ain't going away. All right, well, I'm kind of giving it my last look here, and I think that I'm pretty happy with it. I think this turned out really nice for you know what these are. They're basically like a demo. So if you came to a workshop of mine or something like that, this would be similar to what I would do in a demo, except I might explain a little bit more. In these, I tend to talk a little bit more randomly. But yeah, there we go. Jen, super happy, super glad that you're here. Now I'm going to turn the camera to look into it just here real briefly at the end, and we'll kind of say our goodbyes, and hopefully I'll just give you a couple. So glad that you were here. Thank you for joining. And tomorrow, if you're interested, you come to my website, jeddorseyart.com. I've got a new show coming on. We're going to have 7 brand new paintings. And here comes Willow, our daughter, and our little kitty. You can monitor the cat's growth every week. Maybe we'll show you. I have a feeling that this cat's going to be really big. He's already grown a ton in the 3 weeks that we've had him, and I know he's going to grow a ton more. So anyways, his name is Silver. He's a really awesome cat, super energetic. We love him so much. Like, he never lacks attention. There's 4 of us who live here, and we're always doting on him and going around and stuff. So anyways, hopefully you guys get to see him throughout the weeks too, and have fun with that. I'm going to hold up the painting that is going to be coming to you, Jen. So super glad that you were able to be here, all of you. Jen, glad to be able to send this to you. I'll probably do a couple tiny little things to it before we send it off, but congratulations, and we'll see you next week. If not before then, adios. Have a really wonderful week, everybody. We love you, and we'll talk to you later.